national holiday in the world.
Yeah.
Well, public holidays, there you go.
Karma strikes again.
Flag should fly extra high today, everyone.
We're gonna call that Rob Day.
Or should we call it D-Day?
Okay, good evening, everybody. We'll get this meeting going at 6:30 for the Laconia Planning Board meeting on December 5th, 23. So we'll have a call for the roll call.
Yeah, I'll do it. In attendance, we have Amy Levisick, Rob Mora, Tyler Carmichael, Rich McNeil, Bruce Cheney, Mike Dellavecchia, Charlie St. Clair, Louis Joseph, Scott McWilliam, Stacy Susie, Kalina Graham, and myself, Scott Pelchat.
He takes away, I can't get to say here or present or nothing.
Great job.
You're the only one that does that in the whole city. I'm gonna have to, thank you very much, Scott. Okay, got the staff, if we'll have a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting, anybody?
I'll make a motion, so forth.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? It's for the minutes, Stacy.
I didn't get them.
You didn't get them.
Yeah, I was definitely missing an email.
Okay, so all in favor, once again? Okay, thank you, that passes. You take that up with,
Abstain.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will get right into this. We're gonna go to, 7.1, that's PL 2023-0116 CUP. It's a water body at 144 Lake Street, Unit 5. This is a proposal for reconstruction of unit within the water body buffer. So we need to have a motion for acceptance on this.
Motion accept.
Second it, all in favor? Okay, that would, did you vote in favor of that? You seconded it. Well, you gotta still get your hand up there. All right, thank you, that's been accepted. Okay. Any discussion on this, or we should just open the public hearing on it?
We need the applicant to do their,
Oh, that's right, I was gonna blow right, we wanna move this along tonight.
I was gonna say, is the applicant
Is the
here?
applicant here to make the, there's Wayne back there. We could vote on this right now. Thank you. If you guys could just say who you are, where you live.
Catherine Sheehan and Brian Heine, property owners of 144 Lake Street, number 5.
Thank you. The floor is yours.
Please approve.
I deserve
Like
that.
her.
Thank you very much.
I
No,
have
if you-
questions.
If you could,
all I
if you could
needed.
make, if you could tell us what's going on up there, what you want and everything.
We're trying to demolish and build a replacement building with a second floor, and it's within the water buffer.
So how, exactly how tall is that gonna be? I know it's in the plans.
It's 2 floors. I believe it was 26 feet point something. It's right now 468 square feet, and it would be exactly double because it would be on the same footprint.
For 2 floors.
Yes.
Any questions?
It's already gotten the permit by notification.
Right, and did you have to go before another board for this?
Yes, I did the zoning board and the conservation board.
We don't, Gail's on the, is our rep on the conservation board, but she's not here.
Yes.
So, okay, any questions from anybody? You're all familiar with that area up there?
It's in a condominium complex with 23 condominiums in total. About almost, I think 8 or 9, maybe more, are waterfront. And then there's a bunch behind.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Sure, Scott.
You said the reconstructed building will have the same footprint as the existing building, correct?
Yes.
Would that include the deck as well, the
Yes, the 8 by
9 by 18?
9 by 18 deck would also be replaced, but
Same
the same
footprint?
footprint.
So the new deck will not be any closer to the shoreline than what's depicted in
No.
the photographs?
No, that's not allowed.
Pardon me?
That's not allowed.
Right, right. Okay, just wanted to double check that, thank you.
Go ahead, Stacy.
So the elevation of your building, are you, I did a quick drive-by, are you the one sandwiched in between the two
No,
skyscrapers?
to our right and left are other one-story buildings. So, I have some pictures. Do you want to see the
I
pictures?
would love to. Well, I had the packet. Oh, but I couldn't tell about the neighbors.
Is that this grouping that you gave us?
That's
Not the
some
same
of them.
pictures?
I do have one better one.
I was more interested in the neighbor's height.
Okay.
I will not be, right, okay.
Oh, this is
Perfect.
us, number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 11 are in the waterfront. 4 and 6 are on our right and our left, and they're, 4 is a
Okay.
twin house to ours, 6 is smaller.
The 2 stories would still be lower than that?
That's 3 stories.
Got you,
Number
okay.
7 is 3 stories, and there's another 3 stories. 14 is a 3-story.
Got you, okay. Oh, this is a great picture. Okay, so,
Anybody else want to pick that?
oh,
I'll pass them down.
Yeah,
So 5 is us,
so I guess this
4
is.
and 6 are on our left and our right. 4 is an identical pattern to us. 6 is a little bit smaller.
okay, so my other question was gonna be, would you be affecting the view from somebody behind you? But it does not look like you have anybody behind you.
Pass that along.
The birch trees and the currant bushes,
We
is all
love
that
them.
staying?
We love
Oh,
They get
perfect.
so orange. They didn't do it so much this year, but they're beautiful.
And I was looking at your lawn, are you using fertilizer on it?
We're not doing anything.
I can tell.
We're doing nothing.
It looks
Ouch.
awesome.
I pick up the trash and it's kind of dangerous. I don't go over there.
No, it looks great. During construction, will there be a porta potty?
Yes, but it'll be way back by the trash compactor, the trash picker-upper thing.
Dumpster.
On the, okay,
Yeah,
so on the
because-
other
Because
side.
there's so little space, but it'll be over by
Right.
number 2.
Okay,
Over by
perfect.
number 2.
And then,
We don't even know where we could put a sign, you know, the construction sign, unless it's in an area that probably shouldn't be put, because there's no land that doesn't have cement or concrete. So it might be over by the porta potty.
got you, okay, because I know it's gotta be at least 30 feet away from the water.
Yeah,
This
So-
one here,
it'll be there somewhere.
Okay.
yeah, this one here drives me.
And then, are you taking any precautions
Oh, is that the
to
one?
ensure that sediment or building
We've got
materials?
one of those orange fences already.
I read that,
But the
Haven't
holes of
seen
it are
that one, I
that
don't know
big.
why.
It's a snow fence.
So,
Because
yeah.
when I
so
look, I
they
look
really
this way.
recommend silt socks.
okay,
That's a good point,
I can
yeah.
get that.
If, yeah, whoever's doing the building. Or even hay bales with the silt socks.
The hay bales would probably fall down.
Oh, it's that steep.
It's kind of, yeah, where's that other picture that you just
Oh,
showed us?
wow.
This one here.
This one here?
Can I-
Yeah,
Yeah.
feel free.
This one here,
Pretty steep.
this one I have,
Oh,
okay.
I mean, you could stake.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
probably the silt sock
It would
would
be better.
stay. And you could just run a stake through it too.
If you get your approval tonight, how soon will you be starting construction?
Finding a general contractor, problem.
Oh, not for several years then.
They do return my phone calls, just to say they're
But as
busy.
soon as you can find somebody, you're ready to,
Well, now we're wondering, you know, when the ground will thaw to get the cement in for the crawl space. And then we don't want to miss the summer, so, you know, maybe waiting till after the summer. I don't want to pay all that taxes and not even get to
Right.
be out on the deck once.
I totally understand that, it makes sense. Any other questions for the applicant? applicants? Okay, well, thank you both very much. Stick around, obviously. And we'll open the public hearing now at 6:40. Is there anybody from the public that would like to give us any comments on this? I just wish I had a clock. We should bring that music in for the, I'm just saying, it just lightens it up. Okay, that's the
Is it
one,
the
that's the
Jeopardy
one.
song?
yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
We could do that. All right, we'll close the public hearing now at 6:41. Okay, any comments from staff on this?
Not really, but it does say in the staff review about best management practices.
About the what?
Best management practices will be on. That will be on the
Did you want to add your suggestion?
There's a whole book on it. Oh, I see what you're saying, yes. Are you making a motion?
Enlighten us on this now. You guys are having these
Which means
conversations.
Well, no, to have the silt socks put
Yeah.
into the condition.
Yeah.
Is that in there? Yes.
staked in.
Yes.
And I would think any construction unit would be hip to that anyway, especially right on the water like that, one would hope.
I know the city doesn't have a conservation person right now, but if we did, would you want them to do inspections on it throughout the construction process to make sure that erosion controls are,
I think we do have a tech person now, don't we?
no.
No.
Yeah, but can that be part of conditions? Like,
Yeah, usually, I thought we usually did that for CUPs, is add that condition in there.
Well, so you want to put that in?
I think it'd be a good idea.
I agree.
They've had a problem finding a contractor. Their completion date is 6 December 2024. Do we want to give them an extra year?
Speak up, speak up.
With them not being able to find a contractor, we have a completion date of December 6, 2024. Do we want to extend that a year out at least?
I
to
think
allow
that would be
them
a
time?
very good idea if we could do that. I don't think they'd have a problem with that, but that's, that date they asked for is not very far away, so I think that makes perfect sense. Rob, okay? You guys are all right with that? Okay. Anybody else? These are all good suggestions.
Stacy, did conservation have any issues? They were good with it?
Gail, should have gone, and
oh,
she's
that's-
not here tonight, yeah.
But they would have sent, I would think they would have sent us a memo on something if there was anything glaring. They usually do, so.
I'm sorry, but didn't she say she hasn't been? And she has to go to zoning and,
No,
Conservation.
she already has
she's
her
already
variance.
been there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
She's just not feeling good tonight, so she's not here, so.
No, I meant the applicant.
Oh, yeah, they've been there today, yeah. So, everything, okay. Well, I'll look for a motion on this then.
I'm trying to think of a finding of fact. Just property owner's right to,
Well, let's get,
Doesn't expand the
let's
footprint.
have the motion first to accept or not accept, and we go from there.
Does it expand the footprint? It's within,
It does not, but,
It's within the existing.
yeah.
that's a
ladies, gentlemen, don't leave me hanging here.
I'll make the motion to approve application PL 2023-0116, conditional use permit for 144 Lake Street, number 5.
With the, con-
Second that.
with the,
Bruce?
with the conditions?
Yeah.
Conditions are, it's authorized with conditional use permit. The public safety health will not be affected. It'll just make the house a little larger that they can enjoy it better. The value of adjoining properties will not be diminished because the new unit will look better than the old one, and it will not be too tall for the neighborhood.
The footprint is gonna remain, that's a key point.
It's compatible with the other properties and the development. There would be no adverse effects on traffic or pedestrian. Natural resources will not be affected. And number 8 is adequate public facility units are available provided by the applicant. Yes. Those are my findings of fact. Any discussion
Thank you.
among the
I
board?
didn't think you were gonna go that far, but thank you. All right, so.
We're gonna make
Kalina?
sure we
Is-
covered.
So you're adding the change of date
Oh, thank you for reminding
and
me.
then the 2 inspections and.
Thank you, Ms. Graham.
Silk socks. Yes?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good luck. Okay, so 7.2 is PL 2019-0135 CUP, Amendment 146 Woodville Drive, amendment to the September 1st, 2020 approval to pave the apron of the drive. So first of all, we need an acceptance on this application.
Motion to accept.
Is the application complete?
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second. All in favor? Get them up. Okay, thank you. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? Come on up. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Brian Iskey. I'm co-owner of the property.
Okay.
So the proposed apron area would be approximately 577 square feet of asphalt, and then we would be doing additional about 30 to 35 square feet of repair to the street that was damaged during construction. So we would repair that at that time.
Repeat that again?
The square footage of the apron is about 577 square feet. There was a little damage to the edge of the existing city street
Okay.
during construction, in which we would fix at that time with asphalt rather than a coal patch type thing. And that's about 35 square feet. So the total job would be about 600 square feet, pretty small little spot.
So what changed from the original application when you guys said you didn't want it
It
paved?
just, we're not gonna pave the whole driveway, we're just paving just that little entryway, just up, and I gave, some photos, did you guys see these last time?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just to, fix the street area and have a more defined area coming in, it's gonna stop, and then it'll go all gravel, so it's not going all the way into the property, it's just a little 16-foot in on an apron.
Are you gonna come back later and ask for that,
No, we're
the rest
fine
of
with
that?
gravel. Fine with gravel, all we wanna do is fix the street, and at that time, do a little apron. I'll pass one around from this side, Scott. Thank you. That's
Will
just a
this
photo of
change-
existing property.
Will this change runoff coming off there at all?
No, it's still sloped into the property. We actually had to cut it down a little bit because it wasn't. But we plan on catching all our water, but there will be a grade coming down, and then it rises back up a little bit before it gets to the street to stop any runoff from going to the street.
So since you gave, because I know people are gonna ask this, so since you gave us the square footage of what's being paved, how much does that leave unpaved? Do you have the square footage of that roughly?
I really don't. It's quite a bit.
Triple that?
Oh, much more.
Much more than that? Okay.
The application says you're going in 16 feet from the edge of the road? Okay.
Correct. You know how the stone walls lie, just kind of up to the stone wall, and that's really it.
So where is that water gonna go if it was paved? If it's not gonna go into the street?
Well, I mean, it goes to the side, right, because the street, the way the crown of the street is, it'll just stay the small little amount of water from 600 feet, or not even 600 feet, 577 feet is what I calculate the apron will be. It disperses, there's plantings along the side of that whole area. You can see from the photograph, we put ornamental
Well-
trees and things in there.
You've actually got a vernal pool off to the right.
That's quite a ways away, though.
But the water could get directed right into there.
Well, the water from the street and the water from our property will run towards that, well, towards into the wetlands. I mean, it's just, it goes through the property, goes into the aquifer, I guess. It doesn't, we don't have any direct runoff. You don't see any streams of water going anywhere. It just absorbs into the property and then,
Which is what I'm concerned about if it gets paved.
it's only 600, we're only talking 577 feet. Just a little apron next to the street, and we repair the street at that time.
Did conservation see this at all?
No, we originally asked for a spigot for water too, but we've withdrawn that. We will have no water on the site. We have no water on the site at all, just a little paved apron to clean it up. And that way, it might keep tracking onto the street down as well, we hope. We just hope it'll beautify the street. Well, Larry, go ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
Then why did Lakes Region Water already install a water service?
Because we put it in and we installed sewer, just in case that ever happens. We can turn it on at that point in time. We won't turn any water on unless there's sewer. We have no septic and have no plans, no holding tanks, no nothing. We just, since we're there, we figured building a brand new building, we have to do that infrastructure ahead of time or it'll never happen. So 20 years from now, if Laconia decides to run sewer down there, we could hook up. That'd be it. The only thing that would ever be in there would be maybe a work sink and then a half bath. But there's no plans for that now, but it is stubbed out. I think I mentioned that on my last visit here. But it's just, it's stubbed out, capped off.
I thought the Conservation Commission recommended not paving that originally.
The whole property we're not paving.
I think that's why it was in there. They were very concerned about the vernal pool. Yeah. I feel like they should go to conservation.
Clena, when does their current approval expire? For their CUP?
These files were completely screwed up, so I've been trying to organize them and
I don't even know, so.
I mean, the initial one was 2020.
2018, 2019, 2020.
The building is nearing completion now. The siding begins tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, so the building's, like in our aspect, most of it's done because it's built.
The only thing we're waiting right now is electrical inspection.
If this got pushed out another month so that the Conservation Board could give it its stamp of approval, would that be a real hardship for you guys?
Really, no, because there's no plan to asphalt the driveway at this point in time. There's no asphalt plants available, really.
So that would be a big issue
We would have to
then.
do it in the spring.
Yeah, so you're not gonna do it now until the spring?
No, sir.
Well, why don't we do that? If you guys aren't gonna have a real heartache with that, and that would answer your questions. And anything to do with water, people are sensitive with, even if it's a little bit, and I concur with you that it's gonna be a small amount, but,
Something about the size of this area right in front
yeah.
of you, right here.
but water's funny lately, especially with the rains we get, so, why don't we do that?
What do you think?
So we would
Do we
table
table it?
this and,
Have
we-
conservation see it?
To the next meeting?
to January, to our next meeting.
Is that enough time to go to conservation?
Can
When's
they
conservation
get
next
into
meeting?
conservation though before?
Conservation is tomorrow and the
So table to February.
20th.
20th of December.
20th.
could do it tomorrow, I could be here.
I don't know what their agenda's like, but we could certainly, would the 20th work for you if they couldn't do it tomorrow?
Yeah, neither one of us are permanent residents here.
Yeah.
We both have
Sure.
homes here, but
I don't think it's gonna be a big deal, but it
Well,
just would answer any
It
questions.
would have to be the 20th, because the
Okay.
agenda's already posted. and
Right.
it's-
Yeah.
Can't change right
Yeah.
now.
all right.
So we'll just
December
go for
20th.
that, and that way everybody's on the same page, and
So you're continuing this?
we'll continue this to the next meeting. And then,
Were you gonna open a public hearing?
you wanna still, yeah, we can still do that, I guess. We'll get that out of the way. We'll open up a public hearing on this at 6:56. This again is for 46 Woodville Ave, or Woodville Drive. Is there anybody here would like to talk, comment on this? Hear the music again?
There's a lot of people here.
We really gotta get that. All right, we'll close the public hearing now at 6:56:30. Thank you. All right, so we'll just pursue, we're gonna continue this to the next meeting, so we don't have to do anything else, and then, you guys can get a hold of the Conservation Board with the help from the office downstairs, and we'll be good to go. Thank you very much for that.
Need a motion?
Yeah, we'll do a motion, and thank you, Mademoiselle, for bringing that up. We'll do a motion to continue this, look for a motion.
Made.
You? You're making a motion, is there a second? Okay. All in favor? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you again. Okay, so that's continued. Okay, so we're gonna go to 7.3, PL 2023-0119 SP. That's 11 Jameson Street, proposal to convert a single-family resident to a multifamily within the existing structure. And they're requesting for a 60% reduction of impact fees for affordable housing. So we need to accept this. It's all ready for that? Okay, look for a motion to accept.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, across the board, no dissension. Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Hello. My name's Carmen Lorenz. I'm with Lakes Region Community Developers. Just have a little PowerPoint for you. I'm joined here tonight by Becky Bryant, President and CEO of Lakes Region Community Services, and we also have our architect, Peter Stewart, here as well. Please just give me 1 second. Oh, did you guys get a new laptop?
Apparently. I noticed that when I pulled it out.
Like, this is nice. 11 Jameson Street, as you noted, it's a single-family home, and it's a 4-bedroom house. How does that look for you guys? Great. So it's kind of up on the hill near the hospital. It's basically in a neighborhood that's mostly made up of other multifamily rentals that we own and operate. There's a couple of abutters that are not our properties, but what we are, you can just see existing conditions. I think you have this in your packet, but you know, relatively small lot. It's a 1,500 square foot single-family house with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, one driveway. You can fit a couple cars in there, but we'll call it 1 parking spot. And again, surrounded mostly by multifamily buildings of ours. Here's just a couple photos so you can see the house. It's kind of unusual because it's sort of perpendicular to Jameson Street. And you can see the parking area right there where there's 1 car parked. We bought this in May, and originally we were thinking we would just renovate it, rent it out as a 4-bedroom rental, you know, family unit. But as we got into it, we thought, oh, this would be a great opportunity to do supportive housing. We've been working with Lakes Region Community Services for a number of years to try and find a site where we can do that type of project. So as we started looking at the building, we had our architect take a look, and turns out, yes, we can fit 3 small one-bedroom units. So that's what we're looking to do. Each unit would be maximum occupancy of 1 single adult. So there wouldn't be any school-age kids living at the property. Becky will talk in a little bit about the fact that these tenants don't actually drive, so there would not be any tenant vehicles. There would just be the 1 parking space could be used by Lakes Region Community Services staff. And then, similar to the Bay Street project, we will have to enter into a 30-year land use restriction agreement with New Hampshire Housing if we get supportive housing funding from them. So that will restrict the use for this specific population for a period of 30 years. So we're not actually changing anything about the site. It's an interior renovation. We'll have a new roof, new siding. I think there'll be a different kind of door put in a couple spots, but pretty much the site is just staying the way that it is. So in looking at it, our feeling is that the objectives of the zoning ordinance are met better with this use than as a 4-bedroom rental, because with a 4-bedroom rental, we're gonna see anywhere from 6 to 9 people and multiple vehicles. So this will work much better because there wouldn't be any cars and it would be only 3 people living in the building. So we felt that the zoning ordinance objectives are just better met with this than current use. One issue that we were looking at is trash disposal, so I did just want to address that for you. Jameson Street's a private road, so multifamily buildings on a private road don't get trash pickup from the city. So number 5 Jameson, which is right next door to it, we didn't get receptacles when the city switched to the automated pickup, so we got a 6-yard dumpster, which is currently located. You can see in the parking lot area, there's a little X on a little blue square with a white X in it. That's where the dumpster is, and the red balloon area is 11 Jameson. So tenants will bring the trash over to the dumpster, and that's how trash will be disposed of. And we'll have LRCS staff will be there on a daily basis working with the tenants so they can help ensure that trash is taken over to the dumpster. So I'm going to turn it over to Becky just so she can talk to you a little bit about the need for this kind of housing and the folks that would live there.
Sure. All right, thank you. Thanks for letting us present to you tonight. So Lakes Region Community Services has been begging Lakes Region community developers to work on supportive housing with us. We have a tremendous need for young people that experience a developmental disability, intellectual or developmental, when they're leaving high school. Just like any other young person leaving high school, they want to know what's next. They want to move out of mom and dad's house. Mom and dad want them to move out of the house, most likely. And so at the same time, it can be really isolating to move out of the house. And we really only had a certain amount of residential options available to the folks that we support. They can stay home with their parents. They can live independently in an apartment. They can live in an adult foster care situation. We call that shared family living. We have over 100 providers throughout the Lakes region that do that. Or they can live in one of our 24/7 staff residences. But as I was saying, that's not really what young people today are looking for. So then if they choose to live independently and they just exit high school with experiencing those disabilities, we find that there's high eviction rates and homelessness in that population, a lot more poor health management and outcomes, lack of socialization. Again, it's very isolating when you leave we've done an amazing job with inclusivity in our school systems. They come out into the adult services system and find it very isolating. And they have a lack of access to continued training around those skills of independent living that they've most likely been receiving in high school, but not in a setting in which they could actually practice it. So in the supportive housing model, we have residents that will have a case manager. They have case managers now through Lakes Region Community Services. And in addition to that, we have supported independent living services that transport to employment, to a day program, appointments, volunteering in the community, whatever their daily life looks like. Those residents are going to be assisted by Lakes Region Community Services a little above and beyond in budgeting, bill paying, grocery shopping, meal planning, laundry, all of those daily living skills. And in addition to that, taught good tenancy skills. So cleaning, being good housemates, etc. The nice thing is that this adds to the continuum of residential services that we currently have, so that if this model is not okay, it's not working out, we have the ability to assess that and move an individual into a different model. So I think the big concern usually is the profile, who are we talking about here in the Lakes region? So it is somebody who experiences a developmental disability, and is eligible for Lakes Region Community Services already, and that's actually under New Hampshire RSA 171:A is the law that establishes the area agency, which is what we are at Lakes Region Community Services, and determines if you're eligible for services. When we're looking at the supportive housing model, we are looking at individuals who are ambulatory. They don't require this assistance either with using a wheelchair. They don't require assistance with their actual activities of daily living. So getting up in the morning, showering, doing, with assistance and training, but they, on their own, are going to prepare their own meal and do those other ADLs. They actively engage with services from us. That is a requirement of living in a supportive housing model that we're partnering with, is that they actually are engaged with us in services. They demonstrate the ability and the desire to live independently, and again, both of those are important, not just the desire. If the ability isn't there, we have other models for folks. And then another big one has been the fact that they hold a New Hampshire non-driver ID. The individuals that we support, less than 0.02% of the individuals we support drive. But in supportive housing particularly, because of the challenges and other considerations, we target and choose individuals for supportive housing that do not drive. Any questions?
I have a question. The distance from 11 to where that X is, how far is that? I'm looking at the map, is it
It's about 100 feet.
100 feet?
Yep.
Okay. And who takes care of the private road as far as the plowing and all that goes? I've never,
That is currently plowed by the city. I know we had talked with Wes a few years ago because he was interested in if we could get the street a little bit wider, which we're happy to do with some of our property, but we're not the only owners on that, because like Luigi Court and Jameson are both private ways, so they are currently plowed by the city.
but you don't get trash pickup.
Not if it's a multifamily, that's how the rule was written.
That's a conversation for another place, but it does puzzle me. We have some questions here? Go ahead.
I was looking at the trash also, and, but you said that staff would be going there anyway, so if a person found that they couldn't bring their trash out, somebody would be able to help them, or?
They would. I would say they would quickly become a candidate for moving to a different type of housing model.
Gotcha.
The expectation would be that that's part of teaching us how to live, right? So this is the expectation of your landlord, is that you have trash and you need to take it to your dumpster. And if we found that individuals weren't able to do that, then we would work them into a different housing setting. But yes, initially, staff will be checking in and staff will see that it's an issue and we will address the issue.
Got you. I think I was thinking, when I first saw it, of wheelchairs.
Right.
Or, and then my other question was, fire safety. Do all of your homes have sprinkler systems?
Most of our multifamily properties do, and I think we are planning on doing sprinklers in the building.
Okay.
And I will tell you, the other piece of the supporting housing model is not a full typical oven and stovetop. It is going to be tailored to the individuals. We really like to work with microwave, convection oven, not that there's not still some hazards, but it's very selective in supportive housing as to the match and who you put into this housing model to make sure that safety is not a concern.
Oh, so the next person that is eligible for that apartment, if they could use an oven, they're given, an oven is put in there?
We
or-
could do that, and again, it's gonna.
It's all really geared.
Right, it's really gonna come down to matching. if we had somebody that we truly did not have any safety concerns and thought that they could cook and use an apartment size oven, then that would be a consideration, but it also is then a consideration that they might be living at Sunrise Towers or someplace else because they can truly live in those independent settings.
Gotcha.
So is there a timeline for somebody moves in, they can only stay there so long and then they move on, or?
No, so that's what, it's a really key term in our system, is that years ago, people might remember, we used to run a lot of transition housing. And then transition housing kind of became, well, they moved in and they never left, so let's not call it transition. No, the goal is to find the right setting on a continuum of care for anybody that we serve. So if you are doing really well in this setting, but we still know that you don't have the intellectual capability to gain the skills to live completely in your own apartment somewhere else in the city, then you can live in that apartment for as long as we're serving you.
Yeah, it's really, it's an apartment like any other apartment. They'll have a lease with us as the landlord, and our property management company will service the building as they do all of our other buildings. It's just that they'll be working with Lakes Region Community Services to get daily supports and help them be successful as tenants. But they could stay as long as they are complying with the terms of their lease.
Okay.
And we're trying to reduce the eviction rate for the individuals that we serve that have been attempting to live independently.
Understandable. Any other questions here?
And we've already been to the zoning board, so we got our special exception and variances on the density and the parking, so that's already been. And this, I think we have to do site plan review, because I think it's 3 units, so that triggers the site plan review, even though we're not changing anything on the site.
Okay, go ahead, Scott.
So, do these folks pay rent? Are there income guidelines?
Yes.
So these individuals, by nature of being eligible for our services, are also eligible for Social Security disability. And so they use their Social Security room and board in order to pay for their housing.
Thank you.
But it is income, they'll income qualify as well, so they'll all be people that are under 30% of the median income.
Okay, thank you.
And you guys don't get a tax exemption from the city, right? You still pay your regular taxes? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Any other questions right now before we go to a public hearing? Okay, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Stick around. Okay, we'll open up the public hearing now at 7:12 for 11 Jameson Street. Is there anybody?
Good evening.
Oh,
Hi.
well, I didn't even see you come up. Just looking down.
I'm a community member of the Mayor's Housing Task Force, and I'm here to write a letter in support.
Can I
of
get your
Jameson.
name?
I am Carol DeVito.
And you're from?
I am from Laconia.
Okay, great, thank you.
Here to read a letter of support for 11 Jameson Street project. So, dear board, we write you as members of the Mayor's Housing Task Force dedicated to addressing the symptoms of poverty and the growing housing crisis in our community, to bring your attention to the commendable housing project that aligns with the city's commitment to providing diverse and inclusive housing options. The housing project being developed by the Lakes Region Community Developers in partnership with the Lakes Region Community Services at 11 Jameson Street represents a much-needed housing opportunity for the young people experiencing developmental and intellectual disabilities, filling a crucial gap in residential choices for this population. Those who choose to live independently in their own apartments often face significant challenges, as mentioned, including high eviction rates, homelessness, poor health management, and isolation, and lack of access to continued training and essential life skills. The housing project envisioned for 11 Jameson Street would provide this vulnerable population with a unique and supportive housing model that couples affordable housing opportunities with comprehensive support services provided by the Lakes Region Community Services. Residents under this model can benefit from the guidance of a case manager and services for transportation to employment, day programs, and appointments at the Lakes. The Lakes Region Community Services assistant extends to budgeting, bill paying, grocery shopping, meal planning, teaching good tenancy skills. This holistic approach contributes to the residents' overall well-being, fostering independence and community integration. Additionally, the revised proposal for 11 Jameson Street project aligns with the zoning ordinance objective, aiming to control density, ensure adequate parking, and prevent public services from being overwhelmed. This demonstrates a commitment to responsible and sustainable development that considers the well-being of the residents and the broader community. In conclusion, the Mayor's Housing Task Force enthusiastically supports the 11 Jameson Street project for its innovative approach to addressing the housing needs of individuals with developmental and intellectual disabilities. This project exemplifies the kind of inclusive, supportive, and community-driven initiatives that will enhance the overall fabric of Laconia. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and we look forward to witnessing the positive impact of 11 Jameson Street's project on the lives of those it seeks to serve. So sincerely, the members of the Mayor's Housing Task Force. Thank
Okay.
you.
Don't go, any questions from anybody? Okay, thank you for
Sure.
coming up. Anybody else in the audience? Okay, we'll close the public hearing on this applicant at 7:16. Thank you. Okay, staff?
Staff has absolutely no issues. Kathy was saying today that because it's a nonprofit organization, that she is in support of the impact fee waiver of up to 60%.
Of up to 60%. Well, we certainly have discussed impact fees here. Not sure how much that should be, if there should be any, because although the council still hasn't come up with anything that I'm aware of, I know they've talked about it.
The council is in the process of reviewing the impact fee, and particularly that portion which deals with circumstances under which some portion could be waived. I recognize that they're absolutely right, there'll be no children in the schools, but there are other city services
Correct.
besides schools that need to be considered. And I think we've expressed a concern about these large 60% in this particular case, these large reductions in fees.
I think they're asking for up to 60%.
Yep. I think my notes say requesting 60%.
Well, certainly somebody else has some commentary on that as I look around here. Amy or Rob?
You're always picking on me.
Well, but you have a, rightfully so, an opinion about the impact fee, as it, you know the impact it has on the department you work for, so.
Correct. I like an impact fee. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, it's
I think
not,
that they're important for multiple different reasons. I understand there's no children, but I agree with Bruce in that there are other services, you might want to go to a park.
do you have an idea,
A number?
could you live with any type of an impact reduction on the fee?
Could I live with it? I can live with anything.
She's married.
Well, how
I'm
about this?
married, right?
How about this? Could you find something that would be, you would accept as reasonable for both, for the city and for the applicant?
Put me on the spot here, Charlie.
Well, not necessarily, because somebody else can jump up with that too.
I don't necessarily think the 60% is right. It is it's 3 units versus 4 units.
It's 4 units, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So it is a reduction in amount of people necessarily in that facility, which I can appreciate. So,
Well, maybe
I think 60 is too high, maybe 40.
okay, do we have an exact fee? It's on there? Could
It's
somebody?
under the waiver request.
Okay,
So
somebody,
it'll reduce it from 3781.37 to 1392.55 per unit, so.
That's at
$1,400
$60%.
a unit is the 60% reduction.
That's per unit.
So,
Mr.
14
Chair.
times three.
Go ahead, you got the total for that? I could see you click it away there.
Oh, no, I didn't do the math for it.
We have reduced impact fees on buildings that were bought from the city for $1 by a private developer for a profit. This is a nonprofit entity, so anybody worthy of a reduction, it's these people here. So let's compromise and we'll go with a
Yeah.
50% reduction.
Drop it from 60 to 50. We've got 40 over there.
I like his
would
better.
support a 50% waiver.
Okay.
It is a nonprofit, and no doubt there'll be, there'll be services that'll be required, police, fire, parks, all of that. But I do believe this project does merit some form of waiver. I think 50% is in the right, feels right. I would support that.
If only you could vote tonight.
I can speak up, but I can't vote. I can only try to
For the public,
sway
he's our alternate.
my fellow board members.
He's our alternate on the board, and we have a full board here tonight, so, but his commentary is always welcome, for sure.
I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
I don't think the impact fees are punishment. So I think everybody's thinking about it like, okay, so we punish people, so when they seem to be doing something good, we don't punish them. And we're asking the impact fee because we need it. So if we think the applicant can afford it, we should just have the impact fee. If there's a case where they're doing something good, but maybe they can't afford the impact fee, then I would consider lowering it. But in this case, I don't think it's appropriate.
So you don't think it's needed?
No.
The waiver?
I also agree with him. I feel like the impact fee is there for a reason, to support all of our needs as a city and a community. And if we keep reducing those, we're gonna limit how much we can spend on capital improvements on the services we need. And I don't support that. I think we have consistently been the last few months, to 6 months maybe, in not approving those. I think we should continue that trend.
You're whispering now, come on. get a little
Until
louder.
city council makes that decision that we should or we shouldn't. So I don't support the waiver.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I really do not like how ambiguous this is, and I think city council needs to know that this is too difficult to determine when you don't have a cut and dry number. I really feel like sometimes we're playing favorites, it's way too ambiguous. I personally would like no waivers allowed for an impact fee, because our resources are so slim in this city. But on the other hand, it is there. They have requested it. They are doing a wonderful service to the city, but now you're playing with numbers, which, yeah, okay, I would love to see them get 50%, but that's because I don't have anything in black and white to go by. And I really think city council just needs to put their foot down and say, you need to stop with the waivers until we can come up with a table or something that makes it, oh, this person fits in here. And
I think it's been at least almost a year since I heard one of the counselors do this and say, this is not what we want.
I would point out that the city council that I belong on moves at the speed of molasses in February. It has to go through committees, et cetera, et cetera. I do think I can suggest to you that the probability is that we're going to accept in very, very limited circumstances, eliminate the impact fee, waiver of the impact fee.
right, okay.
And I think you just sort of outlined the circumstances, or one of you did, the circumstances under which we would perhaps consider it. But the whole purpose of the impact fee is to help these departments survive and provide the services that we all want. The people living here are gonna want some of these services. Certainly Parks and Rec, the day unfortunately may come when they need police or fire services. These fees are intended to help, these departments. The planning department needs impact fees. I mean, so I guess I'm agreeing with you. We ought to eliminate them. I think the chairman is suggesting that one of the counselors who's sitting here staring at you is the one that's been pounding on the table, because we've given 80% impact fee waivers back a year or so ago, and they're not anywhere in the waiver language that I could find.
Actually, I was thinking about the Ward 3 counselor.
Were you? Oh, that's even better. But in any case, I would agree with both of you that.
But, I mean, so I guess my point also is that she has gone to the trouble to apply for it and ask for it, and they are a nonprofit, and it is available to us now.
So in the meantime, you're saying, because it hasn't been changed.
Right. Until I've got something sitting in front of me,
Okay.
I don't know.
Anybody else? Well, somebody like to make a motion?
On
This
the
is
impact
strictly,
fees,
this is strictly
or-
on the impact fee.
So we have a 40, a 50,
And a zero. I'll make a motion that we not waive the impact fee.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion on that? It's a tough one because we have been granting these, but this is really not a whole lot different from the sidewalk issues that we keep coming up against, where people want waivers on that, and they're definitely, this applicant is definitely providing a service, there's no doubt about that.
Question.
But with that impact fee, the service is provided to everybody, the whole city, right across the board. I wish we had a city sales tax to help alleviate all of our expenses, but we don't.
Somebody give me a gun, will you?
No, but listen, listen.
income tax too,
No, no,
gonna say
no,
drink.
no, hear me out. I can say these things at this seat.
Point of order, if we could have
Now,
motion in a second.
We have.
everybody
we-
grab their elastic.
No, because you're forgetting one thing. Right now, the way the tax structure is, only the people live here contribute to what we need. Not all the thousands and thousands of visitors that we have come into our town that take advantage of our services. We miss that. We do have a meals tax, but unfortunately, the state gets that, and they give darn little of it back to the city. So this is what we live with now. We live with impact fees. We live with registration fees. We live with stuff right here. So that being said, my feeling is that it's hard to justify any forgiveness of the impact fees now because the city is starved for funds. It's a one-time fee. We need cameras. We're looking at losing police officers and firefighters because of wages. It's an across-the-board problem. So just think about that. Okay, thank you for my 2 seconds here.
Seconds?
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
What do you use for a watch?
Okay, so any other discussion? So the motion is to deny waiver of any impact fees on this, for this application here. All those in favor? I'm shocked. Correct. Okay, so there was no opposition to that, so that passes. Okay, thank you. Now we need a motion on the application itself. Is there any more discussion on the application? Okay, look for a motion.
I'm looking
Stacy?
for the number.
Oh, that's easier.
Hang on. There it is.
Okay.
PL 2023-0119 SP 11 Jameson Street. I would like to make a motion to accept the proposal to convert this residence for badly needed apartment living for a vulnerable population.
We had some conditions. I don't believe,
We've already voted that.
no, that was the waiver. I don't think we did the
Oh.
conditions. I don't believe, what,
Because they said they were putting sprinklers in.
Yeah.
And trash is taken care of,
Agreeing with everything in the staff review.
right?
So
that's
no-
what you're
no
saying.
additional.
Yes.
Okay. I want to hear it, that's all.
Oh, yes,
I'll second that.
Okay.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? No opposed. Thank you out there. I just want to, remind everybody I just get the feeling, for any other applicants in the future that may hear this, I'm not so sure you'll be getting an impact waiver fee or a waiver for that, so just keep that in mind. Because I sense the tone of the board right now is to not be in favor of that. So thank you. Okay, so we'll move on now to 7.4 PL 2023-0120 SU, 84 Tilton Ave, a proposal for a boundary line adjustment with 121 Belmont Road, Cap. So we need an acceptance, this to be accepted. Is that all set with the board, or the staff? I'm sorry. So is there a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second, anybody?
I'll second it.
Okay, that was accepted by Counselor Cheney. So is the applicant, can you come up?
My name is Shauna Bentley. I'm an attorney with Westcott Law. I represent the Cathcarts, which are one of the owners of the property. I'm here with Randy Otis, who is the surveyor for this project. We've submitted our materials. I know you've reviewed them. We've reviewed the staff recommendations. Essentially, these are two properties with, we'll say, unusual property lines. They came up with an elegant solution, which I think both sides were glad that worked out, which is that they'll essentially swap a portion of their properties that will result in a minimal, essentially non-existent change in the overall size of either lot. It won't increase the burden on any public services. It won't impact the value of surrounding properties. It's really just these two neighbors swapping nearly identical portions of their property lines, and it works out for both sides and doesn't hurt anybody. So,
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? No questions from anybody? Stacy?
This looks very simple and quick.
So so there's
We
no
like
questions?
that.
take that.
Why in the world was it done that way?
Okay, we'll go ahead then and move on to the public hearing on this. So we're going to open this up at 7:34 for 84 Tilton Ave for the boundary switch. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this application?
Nobody wants to talk today.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 7:34:50. Thank you. Okay, so, staff?
Not much, nothing. I mean, it's remaining, they're both remaining, conforming, so you're good.
That's that. Any questions from anybody?
What happened here that made this necessary? Just curious.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Why are we doing the swap? Why is it necessary?
I could speak to that if you'd like.
Thank you, Randy.
So currently speaking, the shape of the property, as you can see, is rather close to the house. With regards to setbacks, if somebody was to put a porch or an addition on in the back, I believe long-term Ron would like to put some kind of addition on the back of the house. I don't know what that is. So he worked out with the neighbor to swap this portion for that, which created a better property line shape and created better setbacks around the existing.
Lovely.
Undoubtedly, that'll answer the question hundreds had on their mind. It's a good question, though, if you think about it. Does make sense. Anybody else? Thank you, Randy, for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? So staff? Yeah, we do have to close that, do we, don't we? All right, we're gonna, no, we did close the public hearing. I did, yeah, I did. Yeah, it was a quick one, Stacy. You might have missed it.
That was so quick, I missed it.
You made me miss it for a second. All right, any other questions for the applicant? The staff is good. I'll look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve application PL 2023-0120 SU.
84 Tilton Ave.
84 Tilton Ave.
Findings?
Is there a second? Amy, seconded by Amy.
Let's state the findings. You don't have.
Skip the
you don't
findings.
want-
Yeah, do we need findings on this?
Yes.
You can say it's gonna stay conforming, you can say whatever you want.
Go ahead.
It's going to make the property line look a lot neater, and I'm just glad that the neighbors get along well enough that they can facilitate this real easily. So I think that's great for harmony in the neighborhood.
See, that makes that question even more relevant that you asked, Michael. Thank you. Okay, we'll go along with that. All in favor? Okay, that's nobody dissented on that. Thank you all very much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so now we're gonna go along to 7.5. Now, this is more or less just a public hearing. We're not gonna have to accept this, or we're not gonna vote on it tonight. So this is PL 2023-0117 DR Drive, 453 White Oaks Road. This is a design review for a 46-lot cluster subdivision with a boundary line adjustment.
It's just a design review, it's not an actual full application, they're just saying, give us your input, let us know what your thoughts are.
So this is a conceptual?
Design review is like their own process, almost 2 months now. They want to
Before the
before the commission. What is this, the board's expectation? They want to know that.
Sure, no, that makes sense.
Good evening. My name is Mario Focaretto with Brown Engineering.
Mark, can you speak right into that little quick?
Yep.
Thank you.
My name is Mario Focaretto with Brown Engineering. Tonight I'm with the property owners, Kateri and Mike Bouselier. Tonight we're here for a concept design review for a 46-lot cluster subdivision located on White Oaks Road.
Scott, will you be able to get that map on the,
I'm gonna try.
people in the audience can see it?
Didn't move it, just about. Oh, well, that looks.
No, he got it,
Leave
he got
leave
it.
Never mind.
Make it a little bit bigger for our viewers at home. As big as you can.
Patience.
So this
That's good.
This plan here is showing the existing conditions. I just figured we'll start with the lay of the land. The property was surveyed by French Land Services. There's been a site-specific soil mapping, and the wetlands have been delineated by Powell Asset Mapping. The property consists, well, there's really two properties. The subject parcel is map 235, block 241, lot 4. the abutting parcel, map 223, block 241, lot 6.
Another weird design.
The lot is currently wooded, and there are some roadways cut out of it. This property was approved back in 2001 for a 25 lot subdivision. A little bit of work got done for I think 2008. Work halted, and all the permits lapsed, and the property has since changed hands. And we're back here to kind of keep it going, and with a couple of adjustments, but there are some there are some roadways cut. You'll see when you look at the existing conditions. It kind of comes out, wraps around there, and it's been like that for some time now. Very similar design. The property is located at the top of White Oaks Road, kind of the top of the hill across from 398. White Oaks will be right here. The topography is sloping. You have a high point on the site here, and it kind of just downhill sprawls. You know, some flows in all directions from this high point. There is an existing power line easement running kind of through the property. Here we have the Guilford Town Line.
Can you show, again, for our viewers at home, on the map where Weirs Boulevard is? Is it on the map there?
It is not.
It's not on the map, but what direction would that be, approximately?
Weirs would be down.
Way down in that area, okay. Thank you, that just helps get a bearing on it.
I think it's the other direction.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Sorry.
I think it's
If I'm
up.
looking, it's top left. I don't know if
It's
you're
up that way.
Yes, that way.
Okay, even better now. Sure somebody at home was yelling about that, too.
Yeah, I'm sure, they're all riveted. All two of them.
Is this the development that has the, was it an excavator that's been parked in front of it for?
No, I'm sorry, hold on, everybody. Say that again, Rob?
Oh, I was just asking.
Further up.
That one's further up? Cool, thank you.
What was the question, Rob, though? I didn't hear.
There was
what-
an excavator that's been parked there, that thing has trees growing in it, up on White Oaks Road.
Yes.
It's been there for the dawn of time. I was just wondering if that was just.
So it's up from there.
But that's another defunct development further.
Soils on site are kind of hydraulic sea soils, so they're not great for infiltration. You can tell that by the amount of wetlands found on site. And I'll go on to the
Which direction are those going in?
What's that?
flowing, downhill is this direction.
Toward Guilford.
It's their problem.
This is a big project.
Yes, it is.
It's a big project.
So in order to get the density or the number of units we're proposing, what's gonna happen is there'll be a lot merger and a lot line adjustment. So this parcel that started off at 44 acres will be cut here. It'll have 8 and change remaining. And this parcel will be merged, create one larger parcel that'll be almost 80 acres in size. So here we have an overview of the proposed site plan.
I misread. Of the existing site.
Here we have the proposed entrance, which we have a minimum of 350 feet. Sight line distance in either direction. We're proposing 2 roadways, one being coming off the White Oaks to this intersection. That'll be one, and then the second one will be here. Roadways will be 20 feet wide. I know a cluster subdivision, you can get a break for 18, but we're hoping to dedicate the town, the road to the town. And in doing so, we figured we'd keep to the roadway standards rather than going to the smaller or tighter standards for the clustered subdivision.
So does that mean is that a 50-foot right-of-way and then the 20-foot road?
Yes.
Are you doing sidewalks in the?
We have sidewalks throughout. It'll be a 50-foot right-of-way, 20-foot paved road, berms. We'll have a sidewalk the length of this road and the length of this road. There'll be a tree lawn with some street trees planted along the way. Stormwater will be a closed drainage system, so we'll have catch basins capturing any road runoff. The mitigation will be kind of a multifaceted approach because of the topography, kind of splitting in all directions. We'll have a gravel wetland goes down here, a bioretention system here, treatment swale on the back here, a wet pond. It will be stormwater one. And this is just gonna be a detention pond, to help slow the water down. We'll need an AOT permit. We have not started that process yet. We figured we would come here and feel the board out and see if there's any major concerns that we should change before we get going on that. There is a proposed trail system. There's an existing trail system throughout here. And I don't know if they're from logging or from just regular recreation. We do have the power lines cutting through here. Originally, we were gonna, we had 2 TRC meetings thus far, and one of the comments was that these trails cut through the wetlands, and that might be fine now, but when we add 46 homes and these trails see quite a bit more use, hopefully, what kind of damage will that do to the wetlands? So what we've done is we've proposed new trails in areas, and we've utilized the existing trails in other areas, but the trail system that will be maintained is here in this dashed line. And what we've tried to do here is just minimize the crossings of the wetlands to the most narrow point, and in doing that, not creating any impacts to the wetlands. So we don't believe that we'll need any dredge and fill permits for this. You enter the site, we'll have a cluster mailbox, like a gang mailbox here on the right, and on the left there'll be a small pull-off, possibly for kids waiting for a school bus. Right now, we're still, with the sewer and the water, we're still kind of kicking around some ideas and different approaches, but what we're proposing now here is a community water system that will require a DES permit. And for sewer, this plan is showing a connection into Dunbar Drive, which requires a intermunicipal agreement with Guilford, which is proven to be a bit tricky to get. We've done a little research on that. There's been the last intermunicipal that we found, the last intermunicipal agreement was between Guilford and Laconia, where Guilford tied into Laconia on, I forget the I forget the name of the roadway, but with the expectation that Guilford would pay Laconia until Laconia ties back into Guilford to offset the number of houses. I think there was 15. We had met with the selectmen and told them that, it's been approved in the past, fully approved. there's an easement that's in place going from the town line, so this is our property line. There's an easement currently in place all the way to this manhole on Dunbar Drive. This manhole that is Guilford's public sewer manhole is installed with a stub facing the direction of our site with nowhere to tie into it except for this property. And we were received not well. One member was kind of tough, and his sticking point was, what's in it for Guilford? Why would we do this? And with that being said, we still don't believe that that's not an option. We can go back to the select board. One thing that we didn't do was come with an agreement that might work both for Laconia and Guilford, kind of written up, giving them a platform to work off. But that was their first response. With that being said, there's other options. There's always, in last resort, would be community septic, which makes no sense. There is public sewer around. There's public sewer on White Oaks, about 1,900 feet down, which would require a pump station and quite a bit of construction to do that. We do have a kind of tentative agreement with the DPW director saying that he would be open to accepting this after it's all created. But again, these are details that we're still working on. The water, there is public water in the utility and the power line easement. But again, that's about a stop shy, about 2,000 feet of the site, and it was supposed to run to the airport, I believe, I was told, and it stopped shy and then went into Guilford. Technically speaking, there's a chance that we could tie into that. That would require some easements, but it would also put anybody's property that we'd have to cut through on public water. So that's still in the air, but again, we have the right to draw water from the ground, and that's still a possibility.
Have you done any test borings or drills to see if there's a sufficient water supply for the number of units you're proposing?
We haven't. And I understand that that is that can be a deal breaker if there's no water.
I know the city had approved a development up previously, and I think they have water issues, and they have a similar system to what you have proposed here, and I think a lot of those residents are very upset with the situation.
Mhm.
So I think if it was at all possible, if you could run the water, I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I've said this to other colleagues in the office, and they kind of laugh at me, but I would be up for pitching to the city, similarly to the sewer, and or maybe both. The city really makes out if they were open to picking up some of the costs, whether it be just the roadway reconstruction and not the sewer or something along those lines. And I understand that the city is on the hook at the end of it for the upkeep. But as the DPW director said, yeah, we'd be all up for it, but you got to put a stub in for every house that you pass along the way, and you pave the road, put a winter binder over it, let it settle for a year, and then come back, mill all that, and top it all, and then the city goes, yes, new sewer system. Well, would they be willing to work with us? Because that, unfortunately, the on-site septic is as crappy of an option as that is as an engineer to know that we have public utilities around and infrastructure in place, but might be the most financially feasible, is to put it right on site, drill a hole, get some water, and then put some.
Spoken to the water department about any of this, Laconia?
I've been working closely with Luke Powell, who many years ago
Yes.
was the assistant director.
Yes.
And so he's aided me in communicating with some town members. And that's how I found out, because I looked for the water and I didn't see it in the power lines, but he had found that from his contacts.
Are they eligible for any sort of impact fee reduction if they were putting in utilities
Not up there.
out up there?
Will these be single-family homes or HOA?
Single family, and there'll be an HOA.
So detached condos?
Yes. Yep, as a cluster. So how we meet our density. What I'm gonna show here is the landscape architect's renderings, because part of this is meeting the density is providing amenities. So the first way that we meet the density is just by sheer size. The lot's about 80 acres, and 64 of which is gonna be open space, which that's exactly what a cluster development is for. And we provided 3 separate amenities to get those bonuses that the ordinance allows for. For the active use common area, we're proposing a playground, which will be here. I just shows in better detail on another sheet. Limited use, open space, we'll have a community garden. And then the trail system for the conservation open space. I really like the garden idea versus tennis courts. We've done some with tennis courts. They never seem to get used. I went to school at Wentworth and near Fenway, and they have something called the Fens. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's just a big common garden area, and it's cool. Not that the lots won't have enough room to have their own garden. It's really neat to have a setup like this.
I recommend pickleball, I'm just saying.
It's already covered in the garage, Amy. You don't have to worry about that.
I'm fine with that, by the way. I'm approving it.
Do you have not to break your presentation, but do you have any type of idea how far out to the future for a completion date for the whole project, once you get going on it? Just how many years or?
Once we break ground, you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think you can ask the client.
Say 5 years.
5 years? Okay. Reasonable.
But I think a lot of that depends on the infrastructure that'll need to go in. But that's the nuts and bolts of it. I'd be happy to answer questions and get some feedback.
One of the members was worried about one of the abutters. It's, I told her I would bring it up, the Belknap County Sportsman's, because they have a firing range down there. But it looks like the homes are a good ways away from that. Or can you tell me how far away it is from their property line?
I'm not sure, but I can assume that,
I guess her first thought was there's a firing range there and residents might not like that.
yeah, I'm part of the Pemigewasset one, and there's a concern about stray bullets, and so my first thought of the of a gun range being in the vicinity is if there's any worry about safety, it's on the firing range.
Well, I think, I mean, my first concern was just noise.
Okay.
I can hear that range at my house.
Where's the range?
And how far away do you live?
I can hear. I'm on Rolling Lane,
Again,
just off the channel for Governors.
so is it like a mile or
Oh, it's a couple miles by the crow flies, probably maybe 3.
3 miles
I
away?
can hear that, or when they shoot at the dump at Guilford. Either one.
I didn't know there was shooting going on there. So 3 miles away. So I guess that
I mean,
really
that-
doesn't matter.
You know,
then.
it's not horribly loud, but you can hear it.
But you're a few miles away. This looks like it's less than half a mile.
Is it loud, Mike?
What,
Is that?
It's really not bad, like, the noise, I live.
come on up,
Oh,
come
you
on,
live
come
it?
on up and talk to us here. We'd love to meet you.
Hi, my name is Mike Busole. I'm the owner with my wife, Terry. We do have a house on 453 White Oaks Road. So, you know, I'm a part-time resident. And, you know, most of the time you hear the range on weekends, on Saturday morning. It's really not bad, like, it doesn't wake us up or anything like
That's
that.
what I was wondering.
But, I mean,
Okay.
it's, you hear the echo, it's just like, you know, it annoys me a lot more, a motorcycle going 80 on White Oaks
Easy,
Road.
easy. 80's too
Going
fast.
80.
80's too fast. No, I don't like loud motorcycles either.
Then, you know, a few rounds of guns going off, you know.
So, I guess her concern was the people are going to get en masse within a few years and attack the sportsman club and say, no more.
Well,
You
it's-
don't think, so your neighborhood has not done that?
No, not at all.
I mean, there are a good amount of homes around
Oh, yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, on both
Okay.
sides, across the street, several,
Aren't they
you know.
And that would be no different than people that move,
Lily
although they
Pond.
do complain, but people that move into the Loudon area and complain about the track, which is already there. So the fact that this is an ongoing business there, this is something that they'd have to be made aware of. By the way, if you're gonna live here, this is something that you're gonna be listening to on occasion. I don't know, I've never paid attention, I don't live there, but
I personally live in Braintree, Massachusetts. We have a firing range right in the middle of the city.
Really?
It's
Drink it.
crazy. I live literally 4 miles away, and I hear that thing going off. And then it gets so many rounds in it, it's not even funny. Over here, like on a Saturday, maybe we'll hear 10 rounds going off.
but they don't allow that at night, do they? They
No,
don't
no,
shoot at
no,
night
it's
here, so-
during
Controlled pretty tight.
daylight hours.
Yeah, so that,
It's
that's,
members
It
only.
really doesn't really get used.
so that's reasonable, I would
Okay.
think.
If I may.
Well, that does make me feel better. Thank you.
I would just reiterate a comment from another board member previously about the hazards of having a community water supply. We have other developments that have issues with not enough water, burning out water pumps left and right. I would just ask that you try, whatever means to pursue tying into some kind of city water. I would try to avoid the community well option if at all possible. That would just be my
Well, I know the city, I can't speak for them, but I always got the impression the city likes to sell its water, the city water department. So I'm sure they'll do everything they can to make it work.
I love to buy it. I love city
Water
water,
for
I love
sale.
city sewer. No headaches, you know, you
Yeah.
always got it, you know.
Yeah, so,
Have you guys talked to Eversource at all?
No, not yet.
That's, you probably wanna do that fairly soon, only because
takes
White
a
Oaks
year.
Road has a voltage problem already.
Okay.
And that line that runs through there is not your typical line that they would tap for a house. They would have to put a substation in to drop the voltage. That's 34,500 volts, so they would have to drop that down. Just a heads up that you may wanna start thinking about that sooner rather than later.
I know we've had some issues previously in the city with cluster subdivisions and people having a house built and then wanting to have a deck and doing the deck right to their, what would be their property line. And then you have, problems of the next neighbor wanting to do the same thing. So setting some limits of what people are allowed to have. within their,
And that's something that they can get from the department downstairs, right? They would be able to get all that information.
yeah, I think they could talk to Kathy, and
Yeah.
she might be able to give
Let
us
you know all
guidance,
that.
but well, there's no setbacks for
Right.
cluster subdivisions. So if somebody wanted to build the deck out to the limits of their,
We do create parcels.
I know, but your parcels are right, I think they're right abutting each other.
Yes, they are.
So
They
somebody
could
could,
technically-
somebody could literally build, you could have,
Mm.
a never-ending deck that goes right to boundary lines.
Now we're talking.
And somebody might like it for cookouts, but their next neighbor might not like it. So, things to think about.
They can go in the declaration, I imagine.
You could do that, or, there's different ways of doing it, but I'm just, something to think about.
Good call, good call. Charlie?
Okay, before we talk to anybody else out there, I'm sorry?
Oh, no, I wanted to
Oh, yeah.
draw your attention.
I just want to get a crowd up here. so.
I know you do.
Is there anything else you wanted to tell us on this, or
Myself, or,
either one?
Either one.
I'm good.
You're good?
I think.
Okay.
I'll let Mario handle it from here. He got all the details.
No, I think that's pretty much it. We're
Thank you.
looking
Thank you.
forward to hearing some feedback and how it's, received by the town.
They're going to conservation tomorrow, so.
They're going to conservation tomorrow? Okay, great. Well, you got your work cut out with you, for you there.
What's he trying to say?
Somebody else want to talk back there?
Is this,
What? Come on up, come on up.
I don't know. Do we open to that?
Hi, my name's Ian Bird. Actually,
Yeah, we can hear you.
yeah, okay. We're neighbors, Mary Bird and I. And howdy, neighbors. How are you guys doing? So I have actually quite a few questions and a couple comments, and I was hoping that I might be able to move some of your papers around, if that's okay. Awesome, thank you. I'll have to go to page L01, I believe it was. Yeah, just because that shows a real close-up, kind of our boundary line, which is kind of where I have some questions for you. So, possible to zoom back in on there for everybody, that'd be great.
Ian, what sheet is that you're looking at?
L01.
Yeah, I don't think we
oh,
have
I was
that.
like,
I was like, I don't have that one.
Under, I
Well,
can't find
This
it.
should show the same line that a lot of your pages must show, but you have White Oaks Road right here. You have Weirs up here. I'm sorry, Weirs are, way that way, basically. Hog Bay's down here. Well, my first concern, kind of in order, you can actually see the topography lines, because I know you guys mentioned that you're at a high point, and sure, water does drain this way, but it's also a high point this way. And, this is my log yard right in this kind of area, or at least it was a cleared area that I have some logs in, but it's very wet, so I know the water comes downhill. Kind of goes uphill, sloping this way towards White Oaks Road a bit as well, and then it kind of levels up, or levels off, I'm sorry, somewhere up here. So, it's not that it all is gonna come this way, but if there are lawns back here, there's certainly gonna be water draining this direction. And why that's really important is this, about 60 acres in this general area is conservation easement in the city of Laconia. And I know there's nobody here from the conservation district to answer any questions or anything, but it's kind of a big concern of ours, is that it's huge development going in next door, and we have a responsibility to the city to uphold our easement on this property. And we also have some restrictions on it, so one of the issues that we are kind of running into is that we can't post this property, no trespassing. Part of how the easement was written was that it's for the conservation of land and animal habitats. How the easement was really broadly defined. You gotta broadly define it, then you narrow in. But when it was narrowed in, it allows for daytime foot traffic of anybody. We're not required to put in trails or advertise that or even have parking available or anything like that. But I am worried that if 40 lots go in right next door and there's a stone wall, that's what this boundary line is basically, which goes all the way back to the power lines.
I'm concerned of that amount of foot traffic, affecting both our property and the fact that there's the conservation easement on it. For a couple of reasons, we already have people out there that I cannot possibly monitor with all the different access points, both from the power lines and from the other side, and through, honestly, through a couple of my other, boundary lines. We got people crossing in and over, sometimes knocking down stone walls, and not accusing anybody of anything, but that's happened in the past. And I just can't possibly monitor the whole thing for leaving trash out in the woods or making your own trails or that sort of thing.
So tomorrow they're gonna be, is it tomorrow, you said they're gonna be at the conservation? If you could get to that meeting, what time's that at?
6.
It'll
Yeah,
be-
I wish I knew about it. I don't know if I can, but if I can, that'd be great.
It'll be right here, and that'll be on YouTube too, if you can't.
No.
It won't be on YouTube, never mind.
Okay.
I thought they had that on there.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, the first I heard of this was the abutter notification, but it would have been nice from the conservation district if they knew anything of the sort, seeing as it's a pretty big proposed thing going in right next to one of the city's biggest easements, which you'd think they'd want to protect.
Well, they're getting told tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so tomorrow, just like here, it's gonna be the,
Gotcha, that's.
here it is, and then
Okay.
they'll be back before them again, I'm sure.
Okay, well, that's certainly a first kind of consideration and question we have, especially when you mentioned water. You were worried earlier about water running off a driveway in this size room. This is much bigger than this size room, and there's a lot of water. And I don't want all those pesticides and stuff draining down in. And, I mean, not that you have to use pesticides, but I'm assuming with a cluster subdivision that these are gonna be finely manicured lawns and things like that. And it's gotta go somewhere. As a resident on White Oaks Road, I personally don't want to be connected to city water, because I know that you said it starts somewhere down here, and it would have to be brought up, first of all. And then everybody, probably this direction of things would have to be tied in. Our house is already tied into city sewer, like you mentioned, but that must stop somewhere as well. Unless I have those backwards, I'm sorry. But that's just a personal preference. I mean, I'm only coming here, and I'm not trying to complain, because I really respect property rights, and, you know, if you buy a property to make money, that totally makes sense to me. I'm all for that. I just am a little concerned about some of those things. And if I could post this line, that's something I should talk to the Conservation District about, is maybe if the easement can be adjusted. Not that that's on you or anything, but that's. Okay, thank you, thanks.
It's a valid point and concern.
You know, because I know the trail systems that might go in with this proposed plan, that'd be great, but you know, people with their backyards here are gonna see woods right behind them, and seeing as I can't post it, I'd have no right to tell them they couldn't walk over there, but I know that there would be potential issues from that. We also have people hunt this land. Speaking of the gun range, I totally concur with you that it doesn't upset anybody that I know of. I mean, I actually shoot at my property, and I got a call about it, but once again, police showed up and said, "Oh, are you following the rules?" I said, "Yeah." So they said, "Okay, well, have a nice day. There's nothing you can do about it, really." So that's fine. But sometimes you might get a phone call, although I would say the gun range is far enough away that wouldn't be an issue for most people, but it's not all people. So you'd have to get easements to cross the power lines, probably, if you had to run the water into Guilford, or the sewer into Guilford?
It exists.
It exists, all right, okay. Yeah.
We can post your side of the property.
You can?
You can, but
Right.
we can't.
Right, yeah, so, I mean, that's something I'd just like to talk with you guys about too. I wanted to bring up some of that here, but maybe we could get in communication, because it'd be, you know, be nice to.
That sounds like a wonderful idea,
Yeah, yeah, so I, do
communication.
we have any other questions, Mary? Yeah, I've been trying to jot down some notes, I mean,
Well, you guys can get together too after
yeah,
the meeting here, would be great.
thank you. Thanks for looking off before you done. Thank you very much.
Okay, is that gonna do it?
I think that's all my questions, yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. Was there anybody else back there? Oh, come on up, sir.
Hello, everybody. Stephen Duty, 398 White Oaks Road, if I could put the map. I don't know where I am on
directly across the street, yes?
Exactly, across the street. No, I'm just looking
The
for
property across the
your,
street.
your egress. Right there, yeah. First of all, I'd like to say that, I'm opposed to this project as presented. I've lived on White Oaks Road for 30 years. It's a rural residential area, and for whatever reason, this plan does not fit into rural, as far as I'm concerned. 46 houses on quarter of an acre lots doesn't really fit into that category. The other concern that I have is the location of the entrance to this project. It will exit out onto White Oaks right here. This is my driveway directly across. I have, it's a U-shaped driveway, so there's one entrance here and another one a little bit further down the road. This one, when traffic exits this development, headlight wash is gonna be unbearable. It's gonna shine directly on the back of my property, the back of my house. There's a pool area there, a sitting area, a pool cabana. And I had this discussion several years ago, like, well, more than several, like 2001, when the last developer basically made the same plan, but with less houses on the lot. And we had come to potential agreement in regard to a barrier on my property to prevent headlight wash. My first suggestion was to split the roadway. So in other words, this would be a Y with a median in the center. For traffic to go northbound, they would, stay right at the fork. Traffic to go southbound would stay left at the fork, eliminating any headlight wash onto my backyard. Well, at the time that we had that conversation, somebody on the planning board spoke up and said, well, we don't do that, which made no sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me either.
Yeah, but
Not logical.
as it all turned out, the thing never flew. But like I say, I just have a real problem with the number of units. I certainly am not opposed to these folks developing their land. I'd like to see it more, see bigger lots with less housing, less impact. When you take into consideration what's going on in that neck of the woods, White Oaks Road, the Weirs, all of that, and all of the other projects that are going on in the area, it's gonna have an impact. It's gonna have an impact on traffic, and, before you know it, there's gonna be a set of lights at the end of at both ends of White Oaks Road to get out of there. It's visible, especially during the summer. And another point that I wanted to clear up that came up for discussion earlier was the firing range. Like I say, I've lived there for 30 years. I listen to it all the time. It's not just weekends, it's all the time. And sometimes it's not bad, sometimes it's loud. And it depends on what caliber weapon is being fired, obviously, because some are louder than others, and it also depends on wind direction. But the way the crow flies from my house to the firing range is probably about a third of a mile. It's not 3 miles. It's not a half a mile. It's in between a quarter and a half. And it's loud at times. And they also, and I want to make this clear, that they do fire at night. And I had that discussion with several LEOs about it. And his comment was, criminals fire guns at night too. We have to learn how to do that. So,
I had no idea they were doing
They
that
do.
at night.
they fire at night.
They were firing at night over there?
I haven't heard much at night. Well, I shouldn't say that, because they also shoot at the Guilford dump.
Who is they?
Law enforcement, the law enforcement has I'm not sure if it's a state range or who it is, but they shoot there. And so it's kind of a trade-off, which one is louder, but they do shoot at night there, I know.
That's just
But
across
they,
the
they
street.
shoot at the Guilford Range at night too.
Yeah.
I hear them, I won't say all the time, but during the summer, they fire at night, and sometimes you hear them at winter.
I
But,
feel so isolated.
Yeah, but like, in summary, I'd just like to say that, that White Oaks Road is probably one of the nicest rural residential roads in the city of Laconia. And I'd really like to see it stay that way. But again, like I said earlier, I don't have anything against these folks developing their land. I'd just like to see it done on a smaller, more friendly scale, friendly to the neighborhood, friendly to the city in regard to services. And
I get what you're saying about the traffic. I'm not sure 40 units or 46 units, potentially 80 cars, if they have more than one car. The thing with White Oaks Road is a lot of people use that road as just a way to go around Weirs Boulevard.
Yeah.
Especially in the summer.
Yep.
I'm not, I don't live there, so,
Yeah.
but I take the road on occasion, not often, but on occasion, unless we're forced to because there's a construction on the boulevard or an
I've seen
accident
you
or
on
something.
White Oaks Road.
Yeah, what's that?
I've seen you on White Oaks Road.
What, do you got cameras up there or something? That's right, and I don't speed, so don't tell me that. But it is a rural road, there's no doubt about it, but I don't know I don't know
Well,
how
you
big of
know,
an impact, but I do like your idea, coming out of there, if this project goes ahead.
Yeah.
I think that's, we've already got a complaint from, I think at the last board meeting about somebody about the same problem. They were coming out of the driveway and lighting up the house across the way. So I'm sure that, again, if this project goes forward, that's something that they'll need to consider.
Yeah.
And work with you on that.
But, like I say, I think, if you take into consideration what's going on construction-wise on White Oaks Road right now, and also look at what's been done in the recent past,
that northern
specifically
end.
the Brady Sullivan thing.
Yep.
Yeah. It's gonna have an impact. And, like I say, I've been there for 30 years, and it's a nice neighborhood, and it's a really nice place to live, and, yeah, the shooting range doesn't really bother me, but, there's the shooting range, there's the airplanes from, the Laconia Airport, and then there's Meadowbrook. There's a lot of noise up there during the summer.
Well, I'm not a person that, being from Laconia, is like all the changes I've seen, but I also realize that it's inevitable. The trick is, which is what this board is all about, is to try to mitigate things to make it work with as least disruption, and make it, I guess, a little easier for the neighbors to deal with these changes or developments that come through. And
Well, my whole point is that, I guess to sum it up in a few words is, you guys need to pump the brakes here. It's just really starting to get a little bit much.
That's a tricky one, because I'm not sure, it's like putting a moratorium or something like that, and I'm not sure, that's certainly, I think, above the board. I think that's something that maybe you would have to take up with the city council. I don't think you'd get a lot of support for it, because I've heard people bring that up before, but I'm speaking just from my opinion.
Yep.
I totally understand it, but again, we've got some other big developments coming down the pike too, not just up on White Oaks Road, but potentially the state school, and undoubtedly the development, I hate to see it, where we're losing these big tracts of forest and everything. Because that's why a lot of people come up here, is just for that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is to that, though, sir, I really don't, but I feel what you're talking about. But that's a big one.
Okay.
That's a big one, but in the meantime, if this project does move on, the most important thing, and I'd like to think that the property owner is aware of this, is that to reach out to the neighbors on, all around, and to make sure that everybody's is on the same page. You know, we've seen that, some other projects around here where that's happened, and some other projects where it hasn't happened, and we certainly want it to happen with this one, if this project goes on.
Yep.
And I look forward to you coming back
Yep.
with commentary when this comes back before the board, if it does in the future.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
And I'll watch for your traffic up there.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
Anybody else? Yes, we have one more. Or maybe one more.
Good evening, my name's Richard Grenier, I live in Guilford, but my standing before this board is I'm president of the Belknap County Sportsmen's Association. This is Wes Williams, Laconia resident, vice president.
What a coincidence. Nice to have you here. Thank you.
Speaking for the club, we have no particular objection to the development. Our issue is noise. It's not safety, because we have very tall berms. We're not concerned. If a bullet were to clear the trees, it's gonna end up in Paugus Bay. But we have a very good membership, and they're very good about that. But it's the noise. We have purposely left everything overgrown. Ever since 2001, when we got wind of this, we were concerned from the get-go. The noise. So we've purposely let the berms overgrow. We got 30-foot tall trees, anything to hold back the noise.
The noise from you?
Yep.
Okay.
We limit the hours of shooting, 8 AM on weekdays, 9 on Saturdays, 9:30 on Sundays, dusk no later than 7:30 in the summer. If you're hearing gunfire at night, it's from the PD range at the landfill, the transfer station, or as I used to call it, the stump dump. It's used by 5 different police departments: Guilford, Laconia, Belmont, the Sheriff's Department, and the Belknap Regional Special Operations Group. So if it's at night, it's those guys.
Well, that's good that you've said that, because obviously there was some confusion on
We
that.
don't
so-
allow, like this time of the, 4:30 you're done shooting. In the summer, 7:30 at the latest, because it's daylight till 8:30. We don't allow full auto weapons, no explosive targets, no shooting at anything on the ground or in the air. Shotguns have to shoot at a standard target, because anything is not gonna land on our property. We only have 9.2 acres. So we're mindful of our neighbors as much as possible. We've never gotten a noise complaint. Our membership might be a little over 300, but active shooters, we may have 100. Bylaws don't allow competitive shooting, so you're not gonna have 20 guys there firing off 100 rounds each over the course of a day. We are a little more active than we have been in the past. There's no way we can mitigate a 30-06. Baffles, it isn't gonna make a difference. We've looked into it. There's just no way you can stop that kind of noise. Although predominantly our shooters are shooting handguns, which are obviously a lot quieter. So again, we're not objecting to the development, but we are concerned. We are protected statutorily. 159:B specifically exempts ranges from noise complaints, both civil action and criminally. That being said, it hasn't stopped the butters from other clubs suing. Even though they lose, they'll sue the club anyway. So we are concerned about that, and we hope that the property owners will share with any future property owners that we are there. But we try to be good neighbors.
Kind of keeps bringing up that track down the road here, when I hear people complain about that, so, yeah.
Well, it's that old thing, people buy next to a pig farm and complain about the smell.
Or the noise.
And to be quite honest with you, it does happen, because at the landfill down in, the big one, the 180-acre one that Waste Management owns, if you've ever been by it, it's a half-mile of open area with gates. A woman buys a house across the street and complained and wanted it shut down.
Yeah.
How did you miss that? But if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Wes, did you want to chime in?
No, I think you covered everything.
Well, go ahead, Stacy.
I was actually just thinking about, the trees, and do you know if other ranges, if property owners have just planted an abundance more of trees, that helps with their
It could be
noise?
trees all the way to White Oaks Road. You're gonna hear it.
Okay, I didn't know
Gonna
if
hear
that
it.
helped at all.
Well, part of the thing is next to us, the 50 acres next to us is owned by the Airport Authority, and they've said that's never gonna be sold. Yet, when I'm down at the stump dump getting rid of my stuff, I hear guys shooting at the club, and when I'm at the club, I hear the police shooting down there. There's nothing you can do.
Jesus.
It travels.
I didn't realize that road was such a hazard. I take that road all the time. I think I'll either speed up or just ignore it, one of the two. Jeez.
Wouldn't stand in front of a berm.
No,
You're quite safe. You're quite safe there.
I know that. I appreciate that. Well, thank you both very much. Were there any other questions? Thank you both very much for coming.
Chief,
Oh,
how you
go-
doing?
I'm doing great.
A long
Good to
time
see
see
you.
you.
Thank you again, both of you, for coming. Anybody else? Okay, we'll wrap that up then. And thank you for coming and making this presentation, and we look forward to hearing from everybody and seeing how this proceeds. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on the agenda here now.
You're up, Flash.
I was doing so good keeping my agenda in front of me. Get you. I had it right here.
Presentations?
CIP.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much.
I don't
Thank you,
think we have
Scott.
any, but.
Do we have any presentations tonight?
Isn't it CIP?
That's coming, that's coming up.
Separate item, yes.
Okay, on the new business, we have, on 9.1, we have Capital Improvement Committee recommendations to the planning board. I will let the chair of the CIP take the floor. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had an excellent CIP committee this year, as we always do. We reviewed a tremendous amount of great projects put forth by a lot of great department heads. I think the results speak for themselves. It kind of follows in line with most years' rankings. This year, I think the fire department did pretty well.
I'll agree.
I would have liked a few other projects to have gone a little bit higher, such as a community center that I very much loved hearing the presentation on. Thank you, Amy. That was great. But it was overall great process. And I think the results of that process are posted in there, and they were well thought out.
Okay. Now, do we make a recommendation on that tonight? Do we? It's gonna be here somewhere. How could have I lost that? I got all of a mess here.
What are you looking for, Charlie?
That's on page 3.
Oh, I'm looking for the, this right here.
There you go.
Double zero.
Well, does anybody have any comments on, if you've all looked at the rankings here, any comments? I made my comments at the CIP meeting, so I will save you all from that.
I would have liked to have seen cameras higher on the list.
Well, you can make that recommendation.
I wouldn't go over all the work that they've done, but maybe next year I need to go back on CIP.
Well, the city council can certainly take that up, Stacy. There's no reason why you could send a letter to the council or an email.
I mean, I
You're not
know
alone.
there are some out there
Not
though,
enough.
but I'm horrified that Rotary Park does not have one.
Or the intersection of, apparently, of Union Avenue and Main Street.
I think another avenue you could take is we have a TIF district that is downtown as well.
Yep.
And you could utilize the TIF district in funding a project that would support those cameras.
Well, when we have a TIF meeting, we'll take that up, but we haven't had a meeting in well over a year because we have no
Wow.
city representation from that.
Oh my gosh, who's the
Also,
last city
the
person on
problem
that?
of the
Good lord.
costs that have been
Right,
occurred
we-
the last.
yeah, I
couple
don't
of
know if we've saved any money up in the downtown TIF district, because that money was allocated for other things. But either way, whether it's the TIF district or the general fund, I think the consensus is, you're not alone, is that we need to do something to shore up our defenses, if you will, or our, you know,
I believe the
protection.
TIF district actually brought up cameras a year or so ago that they wanted to pursue some additional funding for downtown area.
Yeah, I don't know where that's gone though, Rob.
But I don't know,
Because we've had no meetings in well over a year now, so. But in any event, and it's not just downtown, it's, you know, it's the parks, it's the weirs, it's the schools, I mean, you name it, and unfortunately, even with the cameras, I guess it's better than nothing, for sure, so.
Well, maybe reimbursement could happen if police are able to get
well, I
a
think,
look-see.
I think for the parking garage, there's actually an agreement with the TIF district that they fund those cameras. I don't know what it would cost.
Right.
For an addition to, and that, but.
That may be going private now, so that,
On the verge of being sold.
right.
If it was up to me, I'd pay the guy to take it.
You're gonna give him the dollar?
It's a nice proposal, what I've seen. I would say, I think one of the areas I should probably push is the police department to look for grants for public safety purposes. Our chief has done an amazing job of getting
Yes.
grants and what have you, and I'll talk to him about the possibility of seeing about getting some grants for video. I can't speak for the council, I can only speak for me. This is gonna be a tough year. We have wage issues that have to be addressed. We have police officers in surrounding towns being paid $5 an hour more than ours. We have Public Works that can't find drivers for plow trucks or whatever. We have a bunch of city hall employees who need to be dealt with fairly.
Gonna be dealt with, I'll tell you.
Well,
Didn't I
and
just
that
talk about this like a
includes-
half
that
hour ago
includes
or
your
so?
folks.
About an hour ago.
We
did.
recognize it, we need to, so I guess my point is, looking at this list, from my perspective, and again, I wanna make it very plain, I'm not speaking for any other city councilor, but from my perspective, before we go after this list, we have to go after paying these people, her people, the cops, the firemen, the public works people enough to keep them here. Lebanon, New Hampshire is paying $30,000 signing bonus
Oh, my God.
Well, I think
for police officers.
You did not hear that.
Yep. Franklin, give me, but Franklin,
$5 an hour
you
more
know,
to start.
Guilford, you can make the argument, well, yeah, you know, but,
Well, they are smaller.
but, you know,
Job's easier too.
like I said, we've got City Hall and Parks and Rec and Public Works and people like that who we've all but ignored for the last few years. Problem is contracts. You know, we're gonna have to ease into, can the different contracting agencies or groups, police, fire, City Hall, whatever, are they willing to open up the contracts or renegotiate? It may sound easy, it's not, because you open the contract and then they start saying, you know, well, we want everybody to have diamond rings, or, you know.
Is that an option?
That's what worries me.
I'm not in the contract.
All right, so do you want to make a motion to move this on to the city
Sure.
council? Is there anybody that has any other comments on this?
I don't think it's inappropriate to add Ms. Susie's comments about cameras. I think,
Well, we could just add that as commentary.
as commentary.
Alina, is that okay? We can add that as just commentary?
Why are we
Whatever you
paying to
want.
clean up the weeds at Briarwood, Briarcrest? We can use that money for cameras.
Yep.
Where's that on here?
Down the bottom on,
Last page, down the bottom.
page.
Two different line items.
$27,000 to clean up their weeds. Why are we paying for that?
Well, they're rated 70, so I don't think it's gonna.
That's
but
water.
That's water department. We don't have any
observation is
control
valid.
over that.
What, wait a minute, what's that, Rob?
That's an enterprise fund. We don't have any control over that. That's water department.
So that's water, so we're not doing that.
But why are we paying to clean their weeds up?
We're not, that
I
water.
think that for that particular one, you're getting a glimpse of a narrative, and you should probably speak to the,
Water department.
the water department and the director. He'd probably give you a very good answer.
Yeah, and that.
But that, I want to emphasize, is enterprise fund, and that's self-funding.
Was that like it be a starship?
Something like.
No, so it's using the revenues generated from the service it provides.
I see.
So you have water and sewer,
Yeah.
and you pay those bills,
Thank you for
and that
pointing that out,
funds
Rob. That's
all of
important.
those things. So enterprise funds are completely different. By RSA, we review them when it goes to capital improvements, and we vote on them, but we have no control over that. And there's an individual water commission that is going to approve those individual items. So if you have an issue with those, I would highly suggest you talk to our superintendent, and he
And
is
with
a
these items-
very smart gentleman.
When these items come up in the budget, the city budget, you, as citizens, you can go to the council meeting when they talk about these in the
No,
budget.
stay home.
And make your,
Everybody
and
gets
make,
5
and make your, and make your comments known then.
And the
and
water
one of those-
commission has their own commission as well to speak at.
Yeah.
So,
And you can make comments at the council meeting, at the budget hearings, about things like cameras, but, if we'll get that letter in there, do we all agree with that? There's no,
I agree with it, yes.
everybody, do we need to vote on that? Is it, everybody's good with
Well,
that?
could we also ask the people who took down the Christmas tree that they could just go up to Robbie Mills and take down the green monster?
Sure.
And that way it'll be legal.
Much liability.
We'll take that money.
Too much
That'll
li-
go toward the cameras.
Too much liability.
So we can watch you take it down.
Did we get a motion on this?
No.
Is there a motion to move this along so we can get out of
Yes,
here
I
by
made
night?
a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second, I think Amy went up first on that.
Right.
All right, so any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, no dissension on that. Okay, so now we move on, any old business?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Last month, Bruce recused himself, and the city council gets to pick somebody to replace him.
Yes, he did.
It doesn't seem fair to me.
Well,
An alternate was, Bob Susi was
Bob is the alternate.
he's the alternate.
Designated
he's
alternate?
the designated alternate.
That's correct.
Because I'm thinking, well, they could get somebody that sees their view more than you do and bring him in.
So that was, that's the alternate was picked, and,
There was some question raised about the mayor picking somebody to replace me. He was advised that there was already an alternate.
I see,
and-
okay.
And so it was agreed that Counselor Susi would
Because-
replace me.
Say, if I have a conflict and I recuse myself, nobody replaces me.
That's true.
we have alternate.
Well,
members.
your alternate
Your
here
alternate would
would.
replace you.
Okay, good point, all right.
The only one who does not have an alternate is Rich. Legally, he is not allowed to have an alternate.
Is irreplaceable.
What?
I learned that in one of the,
He's,
But what makes him so
he's
special?
the
Yeah.
city manager ex officio, appointed official.
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
he's the only one that does not have an alternate.
okay, so,
Is it a city manager appointment?
Yes.
I thought.
The
Amy-
manager could pick an alternate for him.
Yes, but then that alternate can only
Well, that's what Bob
be
did,
for, right.
came for one meeting, so, I mean, that was the whole purpose of, my, I guess it wasn't the only purpose, but that was the purpose for Bob being here, was,
But he is on he's been on every single email for the past 2-3 years.
Yeah.
If anybody looks
Yep.
when I send.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Rich,
Okay, so Any other old business? Correspondence from anybody? Going once? Planning Department report.
Where is our planning director?
Status,
She's ill.
well,
She's watching though.
Oh, yes.
I forgot I was supposed to wait. Kathy's not under the weather, so that's why she's not here.
Okay.
She's been fighting that bug that's been going around a lot of
She's
people.
not watching anymore. There's no one watching.
You just have to kill everything
Lost our
else. You enjoy that kind, you're just a,
Our ratings just went to 0.
okay,
You have to be more entertaining, guys.
well, no, I've
We
had her.
couldn't even keep 2 people?
Okay, so no planning,
One of
okay.
whom is part of this department. One of whom is part of this department.
Wow.
We couldn't keep
Who
her.
couldn't even keep her up till the end?
Okay, so
Who needs
liaison
some
reports,
background music?
Lakes Region Planning Commission.
Did you go?
Have not attended a meeting yet, I apologize. Since I agreed to take Stacy's seat on that commission, I had a work conflict
That's okay.
and I was out of town.
All right, next time.
And I intend to, yeah,
All
I
right,
was
well,
sick for a while
that's
too,
okay.
but
No,
my life
no,
was
we-
unraveled.
Nobody's asking, Scott. We'll move-
It was.
Moving right along with
I
conservation.
will
Gail's not here, so,
faithfully attend the next meeting.
There's a meeting tomorrow night.
yeah.
The fireworks will be there, and 492 Endicott, the paintball park, will be there.
what's going on at the paintball park?
Paintball.
I don't think so.
Another,
Massive
Sir?
development,
Yeah.
shocking. Okay, city council,
Yes.
any more commentary?
Here.
Still exists.
No?
Okay. And the Historical District Commission, of which I am on, and I have been very, very disappointed that Councilor Susie has not scheduled a meeting for that subcommittee meeting to go over all the changes that have been made. I think we're looking, perhaps within the next 3 to 4 years.
No, can I make, in
Yeah.
fairness to Counselor Susie, we've had flag issues and a number of other things come up. I think, in fairness, we need some time to look at what you're proposing for changes.
Oh, I thought that had already been done.
Well, you've submitted them, whether or not people have, listen, I read a letter to this board within the last couple of weeks that I should have read months ago. And, you know, I'd like to have an excuse. I mean, I'd love to have an excuse for why I don't do some of these things. Some of them are named Debbie, and other family members.
No, I'll
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, it's easy to say we supply them to you and you've had plenty of time to review them. Truth of the matter is, some of us fail to do it when we ought to be doing it.
Well, I'll keep bugging them, that's okay, we'll
Yep,
get to it.
no, and I, in fairness, like I said to Bob, there's been several pressing issues lately that he's been dealing with. I will speak to him this week to see if he can't find some time to schedule it.
That's fair enough. Any other business? You remind everybody, we all know we won't be meeting until January 9th, so
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy
Happy
New
New
Year,
Bar
Happy
humbug.
Hanukkah, Bar Humbug, everything that
Sing
applies.
carols.
Everything that applies, and,
are you
Yes.
adjourning?
that's about it. Motion to adjourn?
No, let's stay for another
Well, it's only
hour.
10 minutes to 9, so we're doing.
This
not
is
doing
so
too-
early.
So early, yeah.
Okay, so a motion to adjourn,
Join.
adjourn.
Motion made.
Do we get to discuss this motion?
Open the public
Motion
comment.
made.
Okay, motion's been
Seconded.
made, seconded, now you can discuss it.
Well, I'd like, don't go off, because I didn't mean you can go if you want. I just want her to have to stay.
All right, all in favor?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you all.
Do the gavel, Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.